Hey, what's up, guys? Today I will be reviewing for you the B-52 LS 100 head. It's a pretty good little head. Gets the job done. It's 100 watts, 4 ohms, pretty loud. Basically loud enough for any small to mid-sized venues. It's got 3 channels, 1 clean, 2 gain. And yeah, overall I really like this head. It is solid state though, so it's not really anything special, but for what it's worth, it is a pretty good little amp. It's never let me down yet. The two reasons why I bought this: first was the price was right. It was $250, which really isn't bad for something this loud. And second, because I really like the clean channel on this. It's got a really punchy, really bluesy sound. It's sort of goes with the kind of stuff that I like to play. What I don't like about this amp, though, is the drive channels are both a little weak, a little shallow sounding. Not really good for death metal or anything like that. But overall, I think that this is a pretty good amp, and I would recommend it to people who are just barely starting out shows and stuff like that. It's never let me down yet. It's pretty good. I'll get a close-up on the controls here for you. First, we've got the power on and off switch, the master volume, and the reverb control. And basically, for those of you who don't know, reverb just gives the sound a bit more depth, kind of like you're playing in a bigger room, or you could just disable it, get it all the way down to make it a bit more flat tone if you want that for like recording or stuff like that. Then we got the clean channel, the volume control, treble, middle, and bass. Basic EQ for any amp. I've not really seen too many that don't have this. There are some out there though. It's got a mid cut on it, which lets you toggle between kind of a brighter sound and a bit more muffled tone. And I don't really like that, so I generally keep it enabled all the time. And then we've got the channel select button. Then over here we have the overdrive channels. There's 2 of them. Volume 1, Volume 2, basically channel 1, channel 2. Then we've got the contour knob, which is sort of like the tone knob on a distortion pedal. It's the further enabled it is, the more focusing on the high end of the note you're playing it'll shine through to the amp, kind of a bit more tone, but it loses the low end, which kind of makes it sound a bit empty, a bit flat. But when it's back the other way, it focuses on the low end, so it's the opposite. It's good to keep it somewhere in the middle. I like to keep it about 3 o'clock, and on both sides of it we have a toggle switch for both the gain channels. Basically, you can bypass it and just go straight to the EQ. Then over here we have the treble, middle, and bass. Again, just the equalizers for amps. It's pretty standard. Then we've got gain 1, gain 2 for the different channels, and between them a gain select knob. Then finally the input jack. It comes with a foot switch. It's really solid design. I installed Velcro on the back of it to fit it onto my pedal board. It's got channel select, which lets you switch between the clean and the drive channels. Then gain lets you switch between the 2 different gains once it's enabled. Then reverb, basically self-explanatory, just turns the reverb on and off. I've got it playing through it's a Marshall AVT 412 cab. Comes with a valve state. I think it's the AVT 50 or something like that. It's 300 watts, 8 ohms. It's a pretty good cab. I got it off a buddy of mine for a really good deal. I only paid $200 for it. It's kind of beat up, but it still sounds great. It's got the Marshall tone for pretty cheap. And now let's get a look at the back of the head here. Basically, we've got the effects loop and the volume for it, the send and return. Then over here we have the foot switch input. Basically, plug in the reverb and the channel gain, the channel and the gain control. Then we've got the recording output. I really like this. A lot of amps have it, but you can basically have an input straight from the head to your computer or whatever you're using to record with. It's got a volume control for that. Then we have the speaker output. You can control 1 or 2 outputs. Just have a speaker cable going to my 1. This is like if you want to throw in a full stack. Then just basically the power output. So in a nutshell, it's a pretty good little head. Let's plug in the guitar, see how it sounds. Alright, so right now we're playing out of the bridge pickup of a Epiphone Les Paul Standard. Everything's set to 12 o'clock, and we're on the clean channel. And it's kind of a really bright tone. If you go back to the other pickup, then it'll be a bit more mellow, see? But yeah, with the settings all the same, it's kind of a little boring. A little flat, a little bland. Here, I'll kick on the reverb so you can kind of see what that does. Kind of gives a bit more depth, a bit of an echo almost. And I'll hit the mid cut so you can tell the difference. Kind of almost muffled. Mid cut just kind of keeps it in check. I guess what it does is it kind of cuts out the middle section, so you're just playing with the treble and the bass EQs. What I like to do with this is I like to move the bass down to about 9 o'clock, the middle all the way up, and the treble to about 2:30ish. And yeah, gives you a bit more bluesy sound. I'm going to play out of the neck pickup now, but yeah. Gives it a bit more attack, a bit more intensity, which is good for like bluesy stuff, just like. It's got really good response. I don't really have a problem with it annoying me at all, even when I'm playing through pedals. But now I'll go ahead and switch over to the gain channel, the first one. Right now I don't have the contour enabled, and everything's just at 12 o'clock. It's kind of a muffled, kind of a weak sound, not really good for heavier stuff. But yeah, I'll go ahead and enable the contour. Right now it's at 12 o'clock, but if I move it up further, kind of puts a bit more treble on it, but when I move it back, a bit more bassy. I like to keep it about 3 o'clock. Yeah, I'll switch over to gain number 2 right now, just bypassing the contour. We'll throw that on. Yeah, it isn't really good for like heavy distortion or metal or anything like that, but kind of gives it almost a bit more, kind of like something an overdrive pedal would do, just a really light distortion, kind of just gives it a bit more kick. But yeah, overall I really like this amp. I think it's really good. I recommend it to people just beginning to do their shows and stuff like that, but I'd recommend later on moving to an all-tube amp. Get a bit more vintage tone. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. See you around.